Pluribus is really great to watch without knowing a single thing about the show, but after its pilot episode, it completely doesn't matter if you know what happens after that, because it becomes a show of pure concept, about its idea and seeing that idea through, of wrestling with it rather than, plot or character or whatnot. So I really recommend just jumping in right now if you haven't seen Pluribus at all, but then, bookmark me. But after that, it doesn't matter. So that's what we're going to talk about, its concept. And that's my whole thing. If you don't know me, I'm Nicholas Crawford. I wrote The Zombie Apocalypse, Where We've Made It Dark, which just came out a couple of months ago. And, I engage the stuff of Pluribus, post-apocalypse, and subjectivity. So, who we are without world is what Made Dark is doing, and Pluribus in its own way. But, the show really is striking on two core things. It's layering of post-apocalypse with apocalypse, and then the question of love, and can we love AI, or the way in which the staging of love can get to something that tries to destroy us, rather and creates the need for real love. The Utopia element of Pluribus is pretty self-explanatory. We have an event that makes humanity become of one singularity, of one mind, and that means there's no more war, no more crime. We can actually wrestle with climate change and take this uniquely strong ecological stance. There's also, though, a very funny temptation we'll get to with the love stuff, where when we're left out as Carol, the protagonist, who doesn't click into the singularity, and so the singularity wants her to convert of her own free will, but she won't. So it desperately wants her to become part of their happiness. But the temptations it offers to get her to join in aren't the temptations of this mass mobilization, which is the essence of a utopia. That's not what they're trying to draw Carol with. They're trying to draw Carol with all of the desire fantasies of capitalism, of mass consumption. So offering everything imaginable to her to enjoy. What do you want? We'll give it to you, kind of a thing. And so that is the fantasy of the zombie apocalypse. You wipe out the world and you're left in it, and then you get this infinite play of consumption. You can go out to the shopping mall, like in Dawn of the Living Dead, and have fun. At the cost of zombies being everywhere, at that existential danger, but you're falling into this fantasy without world, but you're just staging the fantasy of the system you're currently in. You're not getting outside of it. But that aside, we have the post-apocalypse side too, where we've wiped out humanity, and there's only like 7 or so people who haven't clicked into the singularity, and everyone else except for one other person wants to click into it, and believes this bliss that the singularity is offering to them, that when you are of one mind, you've transcended yourself, and that you've got this lovely euphoria in your constant existence. But Zizek makes this interesting point that that's a lie, that's not structurally not possible. And you see it when you get these moments of seeing the singularity on its own without the presence of Carol, the protagonist who hasn't clicked into it or whatnot. These people are mass mobilized, but they are walking around completely silent and not engaging the world. And it's not even that persuasive to think that they're, in this like in your head serenity thing too. What their happiness is when they come in contact with Carol, then they cheer up and, basically fall in love with her. They express their love for her. And, Zizek makes this point. That this is how subjectivity works. We are engaged with reality around us and other people, and that's what builds who we are. That's a simple way of getting to that. So all of these temptations that Carol is facing in the figure of Zosha, the one love object out of the singularity that is courting her, these professions of love. And these grand gestures of "I'll give you the world" are not ones of actual love, but they're actually at the level of the slasher. So love and the slasher are both operative on the level of desire. And the way desire works is we are targeting this phantasmatic void in the thing we desire, or in the person we desire, and that is what's in them more than them. That's the Lacanian way of saying it. So in love, it's transformative. Love happens in both directions, so both parties are transformed. But that's not possible with the love that's being offered by Zosha. It is the workings of desire on the level of the slasher, where the slasher desires the target, the person, the girl at a summer camp, and wants to destroy that person to get at their object of desire, this void point. So you obliterate the person in a extreme way, in a flashy way, in order to make this void more reified, to make it more of a tangible thing. And it's the more you try to destroy even that void itself, the more it persists. So that's why there's this need of the slasher, or of the utter horrors that are happening in our world today that continue and continue. The need for this, incessant violence, is because, you destroy one body, you need to destroy another to keep getting at this void, this thing. And that's what's happening in Pluribus. The way in which they want her to convert into being part of the singularity isn't because they love her. They know everything about her. It's on this level of knowledge. And it's on this level of staging as a courtly love with all these grand gestures. But courtly love, likewise, is about reifying the object of desire and putting distance from you and it so that you don't have to change. You build yourself up in this I'm courting you kind of thing, but you're not vulnerable to the desire of this other person, the person you love. So this gets clear when the show deviates from loving Carol, so to speak, to loving her genetic material, her eggs that she donated, which they're going to use to find some scientific way to force her into converting. They can't, they're non-violent. That's a really interesting aspect of this post-apocalypse, this twist on invasion of the body snatchers to make it uniquely non-violent, which I think fits into our era very well, especially as AI. So they are targeting not the void in her, but her genetic material. So this is the core temptation of our current era, to deviate from this relationship of desire, of love, of subjectivity, to our genetic material, and to give over our freedom and who we are to our genetic stuff, and say our genetic stuff knows what, has its own desire of us, and that's what we are. That's what we identify with. You can't have this one-to-one relationship with your genes and what your genes want from you or of you, what they're doing. There's a schism there between the psychic operations of who we are and what our genes and our bodies are doing. So this shows how you can't fall in love with AI, how all of the staging of love of AI is surface level stuff. It's not real love, and that's what is the temptation of Carol. That's the thing she succumbs to when we get this post-apocalyptic, there is no other outside of us. And then when we finally do come into contact with a real other, the one other person who is resisting the singularity, that's the call to action to actually break out of this temptation and fully commit to resisting it. So just like how the slasher is how do we build up who we are enough to get to a point where we fight and resist the slasher? So we're screaming the whole way through the film until we finally stop and fight. That's what Pluribus is doing too. And in Where We've Made It Dark, we have the same slasher element with the zombies that are coming for us and undoing the world around us, but we get the, dense impenetrability of our own lives and this need to face the existential threat without being able to. That's the core antagonistic problem of Where We've Made It Dark. So yeah, the value of Pluribus is how its utopia and its love that it offers, or its happiness, are both complete false starts, and realizing why. Realizing while love and mass mobilization are things that we should work towards, this is not the way. So hopefully we get some very interesting antagonisms with season 2, because it really does take its time to get to this point of resistance, but that point of resistance is where all the fun lies.